Hello YouTube, this is Silver Age Dave. This is just a quick intro. I'm going to be showing the whole big mystery haul in pieces. I'm trying to do 10 to 13 minute bites. There's a lot of comics to get through, almost 800 total. And what you're going to find is there's a lot of Bronze Age stuff. There's not a whole lot of silver. I did pick out almost all the Silver Age stuff he had. But it's stuff I found interesting. So as you're watching these videos over the next few days, if you care to watch them, you'll see a little bit about how I collect and how I go through a collection. I look for things that are interesting to me, not necessarily value driven, but what I find interesting. And whether I have one copy or 10 really doesn't change anything. So with that, thank you so much for all the great responses and comments on the first part. And here comes part number 2. The interesting thing is each part is going to be pretty different. I've filmed 3 of them already, and each section is pretty different. So I hope you like them. Here we go. All right, guys. So I think I left off right here at Amazing Spider-Man 181. And so I thought I'd just go through the collection a little bit at a time, and I'll release it over like 5 days. What I ended up with the magazines and preview size, ended up being just under 700 comic books. I didn't pay that much per book, considering what's in here. Some of them are going to be, wow issues. Some of them are just going to be so-sos. But anyway, I'll just flip through here a little bit. We got 191 or 190, 191 over here. Maybe I showed some of these. I don't know. 200. These guys seem to collect a lot of #1 issues and anniversary issues. So as I was going through the collection, like I said, he wanted a ridiculous amount for the whole collection. And for some reason, when he said, hey, just go through there and pick out what you want, the price per comic came way, way, way down. And when I went through these, obviously I was picking ones, some of these have comics on the back. I was picking ones that jumped out to me, possibly because of condition, possibly just because, who knows, they just, for some reason, the cover was nice. Amazing Spider-Man, I think, speaks for itself. I'm going to try to shift these a little bit. They're always good to have. I don't think anyone's ever lost money on an Amazing Spider-Man. I mean, if you're buying them this way. I was watching Deadpool 2323. He's got a cool new series he's doing on hunting tips and thoughts, and I was going to be coming out with something like that. As a YouTube community member, what I try to do is I try to not duplicate. If someone else is doing something and they're doing a good job at it, then I want to give them the space and that freedom. Now, like I've done with tip videos, if there's something I think I can improve on, then certainly, I want to add to it. But I'm always careful. I want to shout out. So in this case, Deadpool 2323, he is a hunter. I always use the saying, hunters hunt, and he is a hunter. And the first video was pretty cool. He had a lot of good thoughts and ideas, and I think he's going to do a great job. So I'm gonna watch his rather than me doing a hunting series. I think we'd just be putting out a lot of the same stuff. This issue's a cool one. He had 3 copies of it. This one he has a little bit of spine stress. The other 2 I think were relatively unread. So that was like, 4 copies of it. I thought there was 3, but there's 4. So anyway, so it's it's one of those iconic covers. 252 was the first appearance. There's a few other ones in there, but all in all, happy to have it. And it was a collection that once he let me go through and pick out, what I told him is that I never want to cherry pick someone clean. What you end up with is someone comes through and they take all the good books, and then that person is left with, quote unquote, the junk. I say that. Obviously, all comics have value to me. I don't see any as junk, but you guys know what I'm talking about. You clean someone out, and they end up, those books are more likely to find a dumpster than to find someone who's gonna appreciate them. So So I tried to grab books that I thought were interesting and you know, had some type of special value. He had a lot of these annuals, which I do like anytime I can find earlier annuals. That one's 1976. He had a couple copies, and those are unread, so I like getting those. There's 11. It's got a fold up here, so you know, not perfect, but for the buck or so, you know, that I spent on these comics here, then you know, that's okay. I don't see that as any type of loss. That's okay. 16 annual, and then he had some Peter Parker Spider-Man. That there's a couple copies of that. Anytime I can get the, you know, the earlier black suit, I like doing that. This is 95, and for some reason he had just a whole bunch of these. Oh, there's another 94, and so it was kind of neat, you know, coming into this thing and him letting me pick these out like he did. I was surprised that he insisted on having me do that. And you know, little story, the guy hasn't sold comics. I said he and his dad had thinned things out a lot. They had early, you know, Fantastic Four, early X-Men, early Spider-Man that they sold off years ago. And this stuff's just been sitting around. We happen to find each other. This is just a lot of copies of this Spider-Man 1. Those are still all poly-bagged. Some of them were removed, but then bagged and boarded. So I'll cruise through these. There's just tons of them. There's the, I guess you call it the silver cover, I think you'd call that. Okay, so he had a ton of those. And I have a ton already, but anytime I see stuff like this, I don't mind. You know, my kids at some point, they're going to see these covers. And it's like the Venom 1. I mean, there's so many of them that are inexpensive, but they're still, I think, iconic covers. I think that's a great cover. And then this is the gold version of it. And there's one, I think it's a platinum that's worth some money. But, you know, for the most part, they're cool covers. And I like grabbing. So that's an annual #1 Web of Spider-Man. There, Spider-Man Unlimited #1. Spider-Man Adventures #1. Like you say, he just had a ton of them. Spider-Man Adventures #1, that's a different cover. So it must have had versions, right? Spider-Man Web of Doom #1. Sensational Spider-Man #0, Giant Size Special. And that's a hologram, right? On there. I don't know if it's working right, but it's a hologram cover. The shoulder's getting sore. I'm going to switch hands. Spider-Man Daredevil Special. There's a couple copies of that. Spider-Man Doctor Strange. This is a pretty thick story here, so there's a lot to that one. And then I showed off yesterday, well, Monday's video, I guess. Today's Monday, but it's a video I put up this morning. He had some of these exclusive you know, free issues, and so I'm keeping these here right now. There's AIM toothpaste, and then that was all, of course, the laundry detergent. And then there's an Adventures in Reading, a few of those in here, which I just kept those here with Spider-Man for some reason. This is official comic adaptation of the new NBC cartoon series. So, you know, that's another one. It could go into the promotional, but it was an actual, you know, purchased. So he had a few of those. Those are always cool to have. Spider-Man versus Hulk Special Edition. I grew up in Chicago, and we had these through the Chicago Tribune, and, you know, it looks like Columbus, Ohio also had one available, and there's one of the Chicago Tribune copies. He had that, so that's cool. Summer special issue. And then he had this official Marvel index to Amazing Spider-Man. I know I have this whole series, but he had them, and I thought, well, heck, I'll just add those. And then I'll just do a few more, and then I'll save the rest for another day. Alice Cooper #1, love that. And I was showing off the other day some EC cover swipe. So I thought this was a perfect one to do an EC cover swipe Hopefully Anthony, Reaper Tate, you should like that. And EC Ed, you know, of course, he probably, I don't even know if he cares about this stuff, but I think it's still cool. Love seeing those, so that's neat. Amethyst, Princess of Gem World #1. Like I said, he had just a ton of #1 issues. Aquaman #1, Atlas #1, 25 center. That I know I have copies of. This has a little bit of a color smudge across the front, the red, but that's okay. I've got a nice new copy of that. Batman 184. That's just a beautiful Go-Go Check cover. Hoosier Nerd was just showing off a great Flash Go-Go Check cover in his video today. And anytime I see Go-Go Check covers, I want to see those. And I did a little video on that for someone's contest, kind of explaining the history of the Go-Go Checks. But if you don't know about it, you know, it's worth researching. It's a cool part of DC comic history. It was a failing part, but it was a good part. Batman 218. And tell you what, let's finish up just here with, there's just a few Batman books that were interesting. Batman 300. Kind of nice. And that's in red condition. It's got some damage at the top, some spine roll, or not roll, but some spine stress. And then the Special Batman #1 from 1984. That's a cool book. Let's see what more Batmans we got. Okay, and then that's Batman versus Man-Bat, Batman Adventures copy in there. And still bagged, so we're going to end it there. Next up, starting next video, will be this Beware #1. We've got lots to go, but that gets us partway through the collection. With that, Silver Age Dave, I am out.